So you're thinking of making a move to New Jersey suburbs and you want to avoid some of the mistakes that I see a lot of people making? Well, this is the perfect video for you. We're gonna be going over mistakes people are making when moving to Morris County, New Jersey. And believe it or not, there's quite a few mistakes because, well, you're probably watching a video like this because you've never been here before. So let's go over all these things so you know exactly what to expect. There's no surprises from the town to the commute, inspections. That's a huge one. Stay tuned for that because it's a little bit different than most other parts of the country. And then overpaying with trendy towns. Ooh, town amenities. Yeah, we're gonna go through it all. So stick around to the end, but let's dive right into it with same towns. Something that is a huge mistake is that there are towns, especially in Morris County, northern New Jersey suburbs, that maybe sound the same or are very similar, but they aren't actually the same. For example, I live in a town called Boonton Township. My neighbor is Boonton. We are two separate towns. We are not the same. Another example would be a place like Chatham Borough. There's multiple towns that sound similar. Rockaway Township, Rockaway Borough. These are separate towns that are in Morris County. So you want to be careful when looking and you think you've maybe found a place to find out that, well, maybe it isn't what you expected. So there's a lot of same towns with very similar names that actually are not the same town. All right, huge one you want to pay attention to. Now look, before I go on to the next one, my name's Sean McIntyre. I am the team leader of the Living in North Jersey real estate team. I get phone calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to buy, sell, and invest in New Jersey suburbs. Let's keep this thing going. This one's huge because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's probably a reason why you're coming to northern New Jersey. Maybe has something to do with New York City. If that's the case, you know, the commute can be really tough. We're 30 miles west of NYC, and you might think, okay, 30 miles, I'll get there in 40 minutes. You're looking at 90 minutes plus during commuting hours, especially going into the city, going through major crossings. And another thing you want to think about is the train here. And you think, oh man, the train's great, it's gonna go right in. Guess what? The train does shut down. Matter of fact, most recently, we just had a union strike for the train officials. So they actually were not running the trains at all for a few days, a couple weeks ago. Another thing is, if it gets very, very hot, they run on electric, they actually will shut down. So the trains on a very hot day aren't always running to full capacity. Obviously, if you're taking a bus and there's a major accident, when you have hundreds of thousands, millions of people going into one destination, coming out every single day, accidents are going to happen. So you want to watch out. So if you're taking the bus, you know, you might be in bumper to bumper traffic for some time. Although they have special bus lanes to get into NYC, it's not always a breeze like you think. And especially if you're taking a car. So you want to be careful with the train and bus just to be safe. And then especially if you're driving. One other thing I want to throw in there, you'll probably see this in a lot of my other videos. If not, you know, I'll put some in the description below, but potholes, they are serious here in New Jersey. We get a lot of different things, you know, from weather to the holes into the ground. The getting cold and hot makes it for a major issue. So even taking your car can be very slow on a weekend for all that matters. Moving along here, something you really want to consider here now with is the inspection. Now look, in some places there's a lot of areas, maybe they're newer homes, a lot of new stuff going on. It's very common to get a home, especially in New Jersey suburbs, that's before 1900s. I mean, it's not uncommon at all. There's a lot of 1800 homes out there, early 1900 homes. You must do an inspection, must, okay? Never let anyone say you can't. Now, with that being said, you can limit things in the inspections, you know, maybe leave it to major structural issues, major health issues, you know, things like that. But at the end of the day, to not do one at all, to waive inspection, is probably not a smart idea, because there's things like knob and tube wiring, which if you don't know what that is, that's really, really old electric that you're gonna wanna update, you're gonna wanna fix. You have old homes, a dip in the floor could just be very simple, or could be a major issue. So you want to make sure you have your structural side of things protected as well. And then, you know, environmental. If you have oil tanks, you know, we used to use a lot of oil tanks to heat homes, especially, you know, in the early days when these homes were built. So making sure you have environmental protection when buying a house. There is a good shot that at one point that home was heated with oil heat. And if someone didn't properly remove the oil tank, it can be tens of thousands of dollars on you. And especially if there's an environmental concern, like there was some spilt oil, that could be huge trouble. You want to watch out for that. If you know what I'm talking about, why don't you drop a comment below? Are you familiar with oil heat or gas heat? Let me know, because I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about that as we continue on when I get to utilities. But I want to know more about what you know, so I know to make videos on. Okay, weather. I mean, this one's massive. Morris County goes right through the snow belt, so you're getting 4 seasons. It is actually right now, it's kind of a chilly May. It's raining like crazy every day. A little bit weird for this time of year, but that's what's going on. So it's been like 60 degrees, you know, then we'll get a day of the 70s, and then it's like at nighttime, there's a couple days where it is 40 degrees in May at night, and it's like, that's cold. So you need to be prepared for crazy weather fluctuations. I'll say the big thing is you want to watch out for is the snow belt. It literally comes through Morris County, so you're gonna get hit with snow very, very likely. Good news is we tend to keep up with the snow removal pretty well on the roads, but if you're moving into a house that has maybe a steep driveway, you're gonna have to account for a plow person, or maybe getting a really heavy duty snowblower, you know, something like that. I got a really, really awesome beast snowblower, kind of pulls me up my driveway, but I'm ready if we get that crazy snowstorm. If you need a recommendation on a plow person, why don't you drop a comment below, let me know the town or wherever you're in, happy to provide you with a reference on that. But weather is so crucial. And then look, I'm telling you, it's gonna get, you call me crazy, but my wife and I, we go to Florida at the end of August almost every year. And the reason people say it's so hot down there, I'm like, it's not that much different than up here. We are in the 90s come August. It is hot, it's sweltering, it's humid. So I always say we get used to it up here in New Jersey, and then when we go down into Florida, you know, maybe it's a couple degrees warmer. Believe it or not, you might call me crazy, but it's not that much of a difference. So New Jersey has a wide range of cold, heat, everything in between, rain, snow, sleet. Don't have many tornadoes, but I'm not gonna say we don't have them. And we actually had a couple earthquakes, man, last year. So man, we got a little bit of everything going on. So it's crazy New Jersey out here, okay? Moving along here. Now look, don't stay tuned on this, because I'm gonna be saying overpaying with that trendy town. I wanna get you to avoid that one. And then some of these town amenities, that's a huge one as well. All right, moving along here, we're gonna go with oil or gas heat. And then we're gonna talk about a couple other utilities, but these two are the big ones. Most properties are gonna be oil or gas, and it makes a massive difference because oil tends to be a little bit more expensive. When you're in a more rural type community, maybe you're in the mountains, maybe like the backside of town, you might get oil. Gas is getting put in a lot of properties and neighborhoods. Like I said, homes are built with oil for the most part in northern New Jersey. So gas is, you know, not always there yet, but the gas companies are in, they're putting it more and more. So you're seeing a lot more. Gas tends to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more affordable. It's good long-term and it heats things well. So, you know, you want to pay attention to these things because you will typically have a higher bill with the oil. And then maintenance on the mechanicals of the home tends to be a little more costly, a lot more corrosions because they're not as efficient with the oil. So these are things you're going to want to pay attention to. Another big thing here that just happened, and I'm not too happy about this, you know, I'm sorry, but we just had a huge increase with the electric. We had a 20% increase from the electric company. So that was passed in New Jersey. So our bills all just went up. So let's say maybe you're heating your house with electric baseboard. That's gonna be a lot more expensive. Maybe you have an electric stove. That's gonna be really expensive. Things like having a gas stove tends to be a little bit more efficient. So, you know, I always suggest trying to find the gas, but you know, if you don't have gas and you need oil and need a really good oil reference, once again, drop a comment below. I got a good buddy of mine. He kicks ass with the oil. He is out there pumping and fueling homes. So he's a huge help to my family and friends in town and everything like that. So if you need that reference, drop a comment below. I'm trying to think what else. Water, you know, water is not bad. If you have a well, that could be a plus. You know, you get your well water tested, you're in good shape. If you have to pay for water from a utility company, that's a bill. You know, you pay it out, and you know, they tend to not be one of the more expensive ones. The water bill tends to be a little bit cheaper. It's really the electric one. That one's high. And then, yeah, like I said, the gas and oil, those fluctuate a lot. Okay, moving along here really quick so you can stay up to date with everything happening in northern New Jersey, and you can be the first to know about future videos when they come out, when I'm doing my town tours and everything else in between. Make sure you click subscribe so you can stay up to date, and hit the bell so you'll be the first to know about these videos, all right? Town amenities, let's keep this moving. Now, this is huge because it's a mistake I see people making. They move to a town, they're like, oh wow, look at the beautiful lake. Oh, I'm gonna move to town, I'm gonna go to the lake every day. Well, guess what? You need to make sure you can go to the lake. Just because there's a lake in town does not mean that you can go to it. Every lake has different borders, different regulations. There could be geographical locations. Just because, for example, a town like Denville, where I grew up, there's a lot of lakes in town, but not everyone in town can go to every lake. But there is one lake that everyone can go to. So there's a lot of mixing and matching going on. You want to know what the town amenities are. It's not necessarily across the board. Now, things like parks and playgrounds and stuff like that, that tends to be open to the public. You know, anyone can go, but you're far from a playground and park, you know, maybe that's not the town for you, or maybe, you know, maybe the kids are out of school, you don't need a playground anymore. Okay, so there you go. But every town's got a little bit different going on. Some towns have downtowns for walking around, you know, going, having a drink, going out to dinner. If you want to see some of those towns, you really got to click subscribe now, because I post a lot of videos on those awesome downtowns that have all those kind of things going on. A place like Morristown or Denville. So that's where you got to stay up to date on all these things. All right, so town amenities are huge. Don't just go moving into a town and then expecting that you know, get access to the lake because you're there, or maybe you get access to something else. You know, recycling center, that's huge. A really, really awesome point for towns. Some towns have really great recycling centers, like you can come trash everything. Other towns, they don't have it, and they will check. You're not just gonna let anyone in. You gotta show ID to get in these places. But if you have one of those towns where there's a recycling center that's just massive, you can start throwing out your couches, throwing out whatever it is you want. Really, really huge. So there you go. If you want a town with a really awesome recycling center, hit the like button. Okay, last but not least, overpaying with a trendy town. I don't want to see you make this mistake. And look, these are mistakes that I know people are making. I'm not dissing on a town here, but when I go on Google and I see 50,000, 60,000 people researching Morristown every single month, it is one of the hot names to go to. It's a great town, one of my favorite towns to go out in. It really is awesome. But there's other towns out there. There is more to Morris County than just one town. There's a lot of other things happening. There's Chatham, there's Madison, there's Denville, Montville, all these places. So it's really, really important not to just overpay and go with that trendy first name that you come into. A place like Morristown always comes to mind, which is an amazing town, but there's definitely other ones available as well. And that's where you have to reach out, have a conversation with a person like myself, so I can help you get connected with those towns that meet your needs, you know? Don't just use ChatGPT to figure out where you want to move. You want to find the right places, all right? Make sure you click subscribe, and definitely you're gonna probably want to watch this video, because it's going to be even a bigger help for making your move to New Jersey suburbs. See you on the next one.